Right now, I sit at this table with the court papers in a neat pile, replaying the night my husband tried to throw me out, and how one small folder ruined his show. Tonight, I rest in this chair with the judgment and the deed side by side on this table. I'm Beatrice. I count quiet numbers, not threats. My ex-husband once raised a glass in front of a full room and announced he was done with me and that I should leave his condo. He did it with lights, music, and a microphone. What he forgot was simple. My parents paid for that home long before he showed up, and I had already checked every line of our life before he tried to turn me into a small footnote. 3 weeks before that party, I woke up in this room to the sound of his voice just outside the bedroom. Darren thought I was asleep in this chair. His tone was low and excited. "She won't see it coming," he murmured into the phone. A second voice floated back, older and sharp, his mother. "Of course she won't," she said. "You've always handled things. Do it big so she can't argue." I stared at the dark ceiling, hands cold on the arms of this chair. A few minutes later, he slipped past me, checked if my eyes were closed, and smiled to himself. He smelled of strong cologne and secret plans. The next morning, he was a different man in this room. Suddenly, he was gentle, setting a cup on this table with both hands. "B, love," he said, using a pet name he had not touched in years. "Our 25th is coming. Let's do something huge. Hotel, live music, important people." In a quarter century of marriage, I had always picked the cake and worried about cost while he complained. Now he was humming like a boy. His phone lit up on the table. A small reminder flashed. "Call H at 11. I pointed with my finger. "Who's H?" I asked. His left eyelid shook. "Just a work guy," he said too quickly. "Helping with a contract." I stirred my drink and nodded. In my head, a little ledger page turned over. That afternoon, his mother walked into this room without knocking, as always. She lowered herself into this chair, pulled her coat tight, and looked around like she was judging the paint. "Beatrice, dear," she said, "such a big date coming. My son is doing the right thing with a fancy place. Shows respect." Then she reached for the empty space on this table where we sometimes kept mail. "You know, at our age we must think of the next generation," she added. "Even if you have no children, you can still plan for nephews. Do you know where your flat papers are? Title, mortgage, all that?" Her voice was sweet. Her eyes were hungry. I set my cup down. "Yes, I know where they are," I answered. "Why?" She waved a hand. "Just good to have things in order. You never know." But I knew she had not walked all the way here for small talk. When she left, the quiet in this room felt thin. I pulled my notebook from the drawer and opened my laptop on this table. I have one habit that has never left me. I check every account once a week. It is my way of saying to myself, no one is asleep at this wheel. That night, I scrolled through our joint card history. Usual things, groceries, power bill, my bus pass. Then 3 lines glowed like warning lights. A huge payment to a hotel, a large charge at a jewelry shop I had never visited, and a fee from a firm with Family Solutions in the name. All in the last 10 days. All from the account where my salary lands. My husband had said nothing about any of it. I printed those pages and laid them flat on this table. The pattern was not yet complete, but it was ugly. Just then, the home phone rang. My friend Candice never calls late without a reason. I answered in this room, still looking at the numbers. B, are you sitting down? She said. I am, I replied. Why? I just saw Darren at a jewellery counter, she said slowly, with a much younger woman. They were picking out rings. He used the joint card. I saw your name on it when he signed. My chest tightened, but my voice stayed calm. What did she look like? I asked. Pretty, polished, maybe 30? Candice said. Good coat, hard eyes. She paused. Are you all right? I looked at the printout on this table where the ring charge sat in black ink. I'm awake. After we hung up, I sat in this chair and let the shock burn through like a fever. Then I moved. Darren had left his phone charging on this table earlier. The screen asked for a 6-digit code. For years he had used simple numbers. Now it was new. I tried our first date. No. His mother's birthday. No. Then I thought of the woman at the jewellery counter. I took a guess at a special day he once joked about and entered those numbers. The screen opened. Messages spilled like broken glass. To someone saved as S. Just wait until after the party. Everything will be settled. We'll have the flat and a fresh start. To his mother and a contact named H. She still thinks the party is for her. We'll put the papers in front of her when everyone is watching. She hates scenes. She'll sign just to keep her face. I forwarded the worst lines to my own phone and set his device back exactly where he had left it. I slept little that night in this room. Around 3, he slipped out again to whisper into the hallway. I heard my own name used like a problem to be solved. After my speech, he told his mother, she'll be too stunned to argue. Hayes will be waiting at home with the waiver. Quick, clean, no drama. No drama? He said, while planning to strip my life in front of 100 people. In the morning, he hummed as he knotted his tie. Big day coming, he said. I smiled and told him the same. As soon as he left, I called my old friend Aisha from this chair. Once she finished greeting me, I said, I need legal advice, personal. Today, if you can. Her voice changed at once. Come, she said. Bring everything. Later, in her office across town, I spread copies of those bank pages and phone screenshots on her desk. But in my mind, I was still at this table. Aisha listened without interrupting, just asking for dates and names. When I finished, she leaned back. You did the most important thing already, she said. You saw the pattern before the event. Now we prepare. She asked about the flat. When did we buy it? Whose money was used? My parents wired the full price, I said. They wanted me to have safety. He was added to the title later. Aisha nodded slowly. Then in many places that counts as your separate property, she said. You must find the old lawyer and get that in writing. Also, move part of your savings into an account in your name only. Keep calm. Do not let them know you know. And B, she added softly, tell your boss in advance. Get your work life steady. The next before day, your home life I followed explodes. Her plan like a list on this table. First, I visited the real estate lawyer who handled the purchase years ago. He dug out the file and confirmed what my memory already knew. The purchase money came from my parents, and the deed listed me alone before Darren's name appeared later as a spouse. He promised a fresh letter spelling it out. Second, I went to my own bank and opened a new account in only my name. From this chair later that night, I moved half of our joint savings into it. Not his half, mine. I printed those confirmations and stacked them with the hotel and jewelry charges. Third, I scheduled a short talk with my manager and told him, in simple words, that my marriage might end, but my work would not. "You're our most reliable numbers mind," he said. "You have a place here, no matter his behavior." I came back to this room feeling tired, but less afraid. A few days before the party, I walked through the hotel as a curious wife, checking details, then came home and turned what I saw into a map on this table. The ballroom was all mirrors and lights. The manager told me the total price. It matched the huge payment on my statement down to the cent. She showed me where the microphone stand would be, right in the middle, so everyone could hear his noble speech. I thanked her and left. Back in this room, I took a plain napkin from this table and drew the layout from memory, marking a small X where he would stand, a second X where I would walk to take the microphone, and a third where I guessed the lawyer H would sit waiting to pounce with his folder. I folded the napkin once and slid it under my notebook. It looked harmless. It was not. The night before the event, his mother arrived again, full of a strange joy. She sat in this chair and gripped my hands on this table. "You are such a gracious woman," she said. "Tomorrow, whatever Darren announces, accept it with dignity. People will respect you if you stay calm." Then she pulled out an envelope. Inside was a business card. Hayes & Co. Family Law. "A little gift," she said sweetly. "You never know when you might need advice." I traced the printed name with my thumb. It matched the H in Darren's messages. "So thoughtful," I replied. When she left, I heard them talking in the hall. "Have you rehearsed?" she asked him. "Yes, Mom," he said. "I'll thank her, then tell the truth, then explain we've agreed she'll move out. She'll be too shocked to argue." They laughed softly. I went into this room, opened my notebook, and wrote 3 short lines. "Stay calm. Use paper." On the morning of the party, he stood in this room, fixing his tie in the reflection of the dark window. "Big day," he said. "Our lives are going to change." I sat in this chair and watched him. "Will they?" I asked. "Completely," he said. "You'll see. It's better for both of us." I studied his face. "Did you ever really love me?" I asked, not to drag his heart, just to hear what he would do with the question. He frowned. "What kind of drama is that?" he said. "Of course I did. I still care. Just in a different way now. The way people care for an old chair they plan to move to storage," I thought. I picked up my small folder from this table. The deed letter, the bank statements, my new account printout, and slid it into my bag. "All right," I said. "Let's go see your version of better." At the hotel, lights and music did their usual trick, but I kept this room and this table in my mind like an anchor. Guests laughed, clinked glasses, told old stories. He moved among them, shaking hands with his boss, kissing his mother's cheek, letting his assistant hover near him in a very expensive dress. When the master of ceremonies asked for silence, Darren took the microphone at the exact spot I had marked on my napkin. He spoke about time, growth, and finding the courage to live honestly. Then he shifted. "Beatrice and I have had long talks," he said, voice warm. "We've decided to restructure our life in a modern way. She is tired and deserves a quiet little place. I will take care of the big condo and our future projects. My colleague Lena here will help in that next chapter." He smiled like a generous prince. "Beatrice supports this. We have simple papers ready, so she can move on with comfort and dignity." When he tried to hand the microphone back, I stood. My hand did not shake. I walked to my own ex and took the microphone from his fingers. "Thank you, Darren," I said, my voice carrying even though it was not loud. "You are right about one thing. Tonight should be honest." The room went still. He moved to touch my arm. I stepped away. "Friends," I said, "you have just heard a story about a gentle agreement. Let me offer you the missing pages." I opened my folder on a nearby surface the way I always do on this table. 3 weeks ago," I continued, "my husband and his mother began planning to shock me into signing away my rights in front of a crowd. I know this because he left his phone on our table and forgot that I can read." Then I held up the first paper. "This," I said, "is a letter from the lawyer who handled our flat years ago. It says the purchase money came from my parents as a gift to me, and that I owned it alone before Darren's name was added later as spouse." I turned it so the front tables could read the key line. "This home he calls ours is in law my separate property. He cannot give it away, not even with a speech and a smile." I laid it down and lifted the next sheets. "These are bank statements from the last month. Here you can see the hotel deposit, the jewelry payments, and transfers to a secret account, all paid from the salary account in my name. Here are screenshots of his messages promising that after tonight, the flat will be ours, his and someone else's." A soft gasp moved through the room like wind. I did not look at him. I spoke to the guests. "I also spoke to my own lawyer," I said. "She explained that no one can force me to sign away a home or walk out of it overnight because of a speech. Tomorrow, I will file for divorce myself. He may have half the holiday cabin we barely use, and half the car we share. The debts he took in secret for this show and for his new friend belong to him." I let that rest, then added one final stone. "I have also opened accounts in my own name, and I have work and savings of my own. So do not worry. I am not a poor woman being rescued from too much space. I am a woman being pushed toward the door of a home my parents paid for. And tonight, I am saying no." For a moment, no one moved. Then his boss stood. "For the record," the man said, "Beatrice runs the cleanest numbers in our company. If anyone in this room is not a fit for their role, it is not her." Laughter, tight and sharp, rippled along the tables. Someone near the back called out, "You spent 45,000 of her money to humiliate her? That's not modern. That's stupid." His mother tried to stand and speak about sacrifice and male courage, but people turned away. The lawyer H, who had been waiting in the corner, slid toward the exit, only to be blocked by a cluster of guests asking whether he made a habit of ambushes. I simply walked back to my chair at the head table, set the microphone down, and picked up my bag. "Enjoy your dessert," I told the room. I have said what I needed to say. Weeks later, I sat in this chair again, with a new envelope on this table. The judge's words were plain. The flat stayed with me, untouched. The small cabin and the old car were split. The debts my ex had hidden, credit lines, quick loans, little piles of foolish spending, were tagged to him alone because they had nothing to do with the family's needs. In court, he looked 10 years older, his suit cheaper, his shoulders rounded. He tried to meet my eyes as we left the building. "B," he said, "I was a fool. Maybe we could be friends?" I thought of the late calls, the careful lies, the way he had counted on my fear of a scene. "No," I said gently. "I hope you learn something. But my table is full. So now, in this room, at this table, I tell the story the way I wish someone had told it to me years ago. If you feel something is wrong, do not wait for a party to show you. Read your statements. Ask for copies. Talk to a lawyer who is yours, not theirs. Move what is legally yours to a safe place in your own name. Tell your boss the truth before the gossip reaches him. And if anyone ever tries to use a crowd to force your hand, remember this. They may control the microphone for a moment, but they do not control the deed, the numbers, or your spine. I'm Beatrice, and from this chair I can tell you, when my husband tried to turn my life into a show, I brought my own script and walked home to my own front door.